So the reviews are in for the new Alien Earth show.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Hey guys, Antonio from ThyGeekdom.com here, and the new Alien Earth series just debuted, and apparently the reviews are good. And for me, that's exciting because I'm a huge Alien fan. I own the collection of movies all the way up to Alien Resurrection, which we should absolutely forget about. But Aliens are two of my favorite movies of all time. And I really enjoyed Prometheus, although I know some people really don't like that movie, or its follow-up, Alien Covenant. That I did enjoy that movie as well. Not as much as Prometheus, but I thought overall it added to the mythology of Alien with some plot holes here and there. But overall, I really enjoy the lore and the universe that they've built. And the last movie, Alien Romulus, I actually enjoyed thoroughly. I thought it added again to the mythology, had some great characters, and really harkened back to those first two original Alien movies. So when I saw the trailers for Alien Earth, I was really surprised that they were making an Alien show. I think this is the first Alien show that they make, if I'm not mistaken. And second, I was really excited to see that based on just the footage that they were showing in the trailer, it looked like they're really striving for that quality, like the movies have brought in terms of cinematography, tone, and just the feeling of suspense and terror. And I found it curious to find out, if I'm not mistaken, that Alien Earth actually is a prequel to the original Alien. I believe it happens after Prometheus and Alien Covenant, but it takes place before the original Alien, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But anyways, with that, there has been reporting from different news outlets on the first reviews on Rotten Tomatoes on Alien Earth, and apparently it's doing very well. Based on this article by The Gamer, they report that Alien Earth has scored a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, is excellent. I mean, that's a very high grade. So let's actually go to Rotten Tomatoes and take a look at this for ourselves. And so we see here that the critic score right now is an 87%, which I have to say is excellent, and 77% from the average viewer or non-critics. So it's actually very good. That actually gives me a little reassurance and makes me want to subscribe to Hulu now, because you could watch this, by the way, on Hulu and FX. So it actually gets me excited. So let's take a look over here at some of the reviews and see what critics and audiences are saying about this. Let's look at the top critics really quick. Okay, so from the Financial Times, we have, it is the best Alien installment since 1986. Oh, that's high praise. Okay. The Times, treading a careful line between reboot, reverence for Scott's visions, and creating a series fresh for a younger generation. Hawley raises the expected existential questions without straining them. All right, this one is, it's not fresh. The result is a magnificent mess, hypnotic to watch, brimming with ideas, and strangely hollow. Okay. So what interests me the most about the general sentiment, really, it comes to the audience. I mean, critics at the end of the day are people just like anybody else. Yes, they might have, some of them at least have a little more of like a understanding of theory when it comes to what makes a good film and technicalities and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is all based on opinion, and nobody's opinion is greater than somebody else's just because their career is being a critic or their actual job is being a critic. I find it more interesting to learn about what the audience thinks. And so I really want to see what audiences are saying here on Rotten Tomatoes. So right here, really quick, we have somebody saying, okay, so this is actually a negative score. I'm curious to see what this person said. Okay, so they say I cannot give one out of 10 of a star for CGI, so half star will be this is not a sci-fi creation, but yes, a fantasy horror B series. Do not waste your time on this abysmal script, miserable acting, and insult for anyone with an IQ above room temperature, and for sure a huge insult next to the original series. Okay, that actually makes me want to even watch the series more because again, everybody has their own opinion and it's valid, but I'm such a big fan of Alien that I mean, this person based on what they write seems to be a hardcore fan potentially, right? Since they're comparing it to the original series of films. So I really want to see is this series living up to the legacy of the Alien franchise or is it subpar. So, I'd be curious to see why people either are positive on the series or negative. Now, from my understanding, it's only been one or two episodes so far. So, I always think you have to give TV series a little bit more time. I think a golden rule is usually like by the third episode, if you like it or you don't. And if you don't, then might as well just skip at that point. But anyways, I definitely have to check it out for myself to give a opinion. Now here we got. I see a lot of bad reviews saying it's slow pace, but it's not a movie. It's a story over a season of show now. The only thing that bugs me is why someone would send experimental machine human high. Okay, well, that seems like spoiler territory. But that first point that they were there that I was reading there, that is a good point, right? TV shows take their time. It is going to be usually a slower burn than a movie where you only have 90 minutes to 2 hours to tell a full story from beginning to end. So that's something that I usually give a little leeway with TV shows, especially TV shows that are either adapting or are spin-off of a movie or a movie series, because it is a different format at the end of the day. It's not going to be usually not as paced as a movie is, right? But anyways, we have here somebody apparently a really high score, and then I want to check this other one right here, which is negative as well. See what they're saying. But here we got Jeff M says loved everything about this show as a genuine Alien Predator fan. Everything about this show, episode 1, 2 so far, was done with respect and love to the franchise. Wayland Yutani is back. Enough said. 10 out of 10. Okay, let me just look at this one. Another 1 star here. Extremely disappointing. I watched Alien Earth expecting gripping sci-fi horror. Instead, I got sluggish pacing, baffling logic, and scenes so irrelevant I had to skip them, like an awkward baseball sequence scene that was ridiculously corny and dragged forever. It felt like they wanted some human bonding moment, but instead it just stalled the story and killed the momentum. The show's biggest flaw is how little sense it makes. So far, the two negative reviews that we've looked at here are, I think, the thing that they have in common is that they're highlighting the pace. Apparently, the pace is a little too slow for some people. So that might be a valid point. At the end of the day, people that are fans of the Alien film series are expecting a certain tone, pace, and quality of script or dialogue. I know I am with a lot of this as well. So, those things are valid. If people that really enjoy the Alien film series are comparing that with even though it's a TV show, they're comparing what's come before with something that's being adapted for TV within this universe. They're gonna expect a certain kind of quality or similarity to what came before. So, you can't really blame people's expectations. I think just For me, again, I see it. It's a different format, and I expect it's not gonna be the exact same thing as long as the story fits within the universe that I know and that how I understand it, and the drama or the plot is interesting enough to keep me watching, then I'm willing to give it a shot. All right, we have a person here says, I'm impressed. Very compelling story so far. Not perfect, but yet promising. The 70s feeling on the spaceship are fantastic and the setting quite motivating. Okay, so I think this person right here is being fair and balanced. Admitting that it's not a perfect show so far, but, at least it's still reminiscent of those old movies or the original movies. Okay, we got another 5 out of 5. Personally, the first 2 episodes were stunning, both visually and from lore perspective. A lot of viewers won't appreciate the setup because it's very akin to Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, where it's necessary to provide a backdrop of what's to come. However, the setup also paints a pretty obvious picture of where things are headed. I suggest people keep watching because some jaw-dropping things are definitely coming. Okay. I think this person's kind of pointing out, hey, like it's some people are not gonna like the setup and the essentially kind of like the pacing. Um, but I kind of agree that if the first 2 episodes at least set up an interesting story, and show kind of like where things are headed, I think that's what the first 1 or 2 episodes should do for a show, right? It's like basically the setup, introduction to the characters, some interesting plot points or like teases to kind of plant the seeds of where things are going to lead. Based on the reviews, it looks like the majority of people are enjoying it. Yes, there's some negative reviews, some lukewarm reviews, uh, but there is also a lot of positive reviews. And I think even the negative reviews are, pointing out some fair things like pacing and stuff like that. So it just makes me more curious to check out the show for myself. And I actually never have subscribed to Hulu, but I guess Alien Earth is as good as an excuse as ever to subscribe now. So I'm going to check out the show for myself and then I'll report it back to you guys with my thoughts. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Pop Pulse and you'd like to stay up to date on the latest news in anime, gaming, and comic book, TV, and movie adaptations, sign up to our free and easy to read weekly newsletter, Pop Pulse Digest. And to see another video from us that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy, check out this video next.